Hey man, let's be honest for a second. You ever notice how women rarely suddenly leave? They never just wake up one day and decide it's over. When a woman walks away, it's almost never spontaneous, it's strategic. Long before she tells you we need to talk, she's already had that conversation with herself, her friends, and probably the man she's quietly been lining up to take your place. That's the dark truth. Most men learn too late. Women don't plan breakups, they plan transitions. While you're still emotionally invested, still thinking everything's fine, she's already emotionally detaching, slowly turning down the affection, creating emotional distance while building it elsewhere. To her, the breakup is old news. By the time she tells you it's over, you're reacting to something she's already accepted months ago. This is one of the most brutal lessons in modern relationships. She's not leaving because she's confused. She's leaving because she's prepared. Women are biologically and socially wired to secure their next branch before letting go of the last one. Psychologists call it branch swinging, an evolutionary survival strategy to avoid vulnerability. Back in tribal times, it meant safety and resources. Today, it means validation and attention. So when she starts acting distant, when she starts criticizing you for things she used to love, it's not confusion, it's calculation. She's subtly rewriting the narrative in her mind, turning you into the villain so she can justify her next move. Every argument, every cold shoulder, every emotional withdrawal is her way of mentally breaking up before she physically does. While you're lying awake, wondering what went wrong, she's already built her emotional bridge to someone else. Maybe it's a coworker she vents to. Maybe it's an old friend who just checks in. Maybe it's that guy in her DMs who's been waiting for the opportunity to play hero. Whatever the form, it's always the same principle. She replaces emotional intimacy with someone else long before you realize she's slipping away. That's why when she finally leaves, it feels so easy for her. Because she didn't leave, she transferred. You're mourning the relationship, but she's already found her emotional cushion. And that's the part that destroys most men. They think she moved on faster than humanly possible, when in reality, she never stopped preparing for it. The thing is, women are experts at hiding the process. They'll start small, a few extra hours out with friends, a bit more time on their phone, new clothes, new energy. You'll notice it, but when you bring it up, she'll accuse you of being paranoid. That's how the manipulation starts. She'll frame your intuition as insecurity, because the more you doubt yourself, the freer she feels to continue her exit strategy. And by the time you finally catch on, she's already rewritten history. You'll hear her say things like, "I haven't been happy for a long time," or "we've grown apart," as if it's mutual. But what she really means is, "I've been planning this, and you just didn't see it coming." That's not detachment. That's deception disguised as emotional honesty. And let's talk about that backup man. Most men refuse to believe this part until it's too late. When a woman starts emotionally withdrawing from you, she's almost always simultaneously investing that energy somewhere else. Even if she calls it harmless, it's never harmless. The guy she talks to sometimes becomes the guy she confides in. The guy she confides in becomes the guy she flirts with. And the guy she flirts with becomes the guy she accidentally sleeps with right after the breakup. That's how it happens. Gradual erosion masked as emotional confusion. She'll rationalize it by saying, "It just happened, but it didn't. It was engineered, step by step, boundary by boundary, until you were nothing more than a memory, and he was already a habit." When she finally leaves, you'll be blindsided. Not because you didn't see the signs, but because you refuse to believe them. You'll replay the moments, searching for clues, realizing how often she'd smile at her phone, how quickly she stopped initiating intimacy, how her compliments turned into criticisms. You'll remember how she stopped arguing, not because she was calm, but because she no longer cared. That's the silent red flag most men miss when her emotional reactions die. It's not peace, it's detachment. By the time she's quiet, it's over, and when she finally ends it, she won't cry. She already cried months ago. Her tears dried while she was falling for the next man. That's why her closure feels so cruel. It's not closure for her, it's freedom. But here's where the masculine awakening begins, when you stop trying to make sense of her logic and start understanding her psychology. You realize that female loyalty isn't about moral integrity, it's about emotional fulfillment. When a woman's emotions shift, her allegiance follows. That doesn't make her evil, It makes her emotional, but it also makes her dangerous if you mistake emotion for stability. Once her heart is gone, no amount of effort will bring her back, because she's already replaced your emotional imprint. That's why the most powerful thing a man can do isn't to chase, beg, or compete. It's to observe and detach. You don't fight for her attention. You let her show you where her loyalty lies, and when she does, you walk away without flinching. See, women need emotional insurance. They can't tolerate uncertainty. The idea of being alone terrifies them more than heartbreak does. So, instead of ending one chapter before starting another, they overlap. That's why she'll start acting out, to justify the transition. She'll pick fights over nothing, accuse you of not understanding her, start labeling you as toxic or controlling. She needs to convince herself you're the problem, so she can walk away guilt-free. This is the stage where she becomes cold, distant, and unpredictable. Not because she's confused, but because she's shifting the emotional burden onto you. If she can make you the villain, she can walk into the next man's arms feeling like the victim. It's manipulation disguised as emotional truth. And here's the irony, the man she's moving toward isn't better than you. He's just new. He represents novelty, not superiority. She's addicted to emotional stimulation, not emotional stability. That's why you'll see her jump from relationship to relationship, convincing herself that this time it's different while repeating the same patterns. But you, man, your power lies in understanding that you don't chase her, you outgrow her. Because once you see the pattern, you stop personalizing the betrayal. You start realizing that her actions aren't a reflection of your worth. They're a reflection of her emotional immaturity. So when she walks out that door, don't go after her. Let her chase the chaos she craves, because the same fire she runs toward will eventually burn her again. And when it does, she'll remember the man who didn't beg, the man who didn't compete, the man who stayed still in the storm. That image, your calm detachment, will haunt her more than any word you could have said. Because while she's out there repeating cycles, you'll be rebuilding your kingdom in silence. That's when you win. Not when she comes back, not when she apologizes, but when you no longer need either. When you understand that her leaving wasn't the end of something, it was the unveiling of who she really was all along. The thing about women who plan their exit is they always underestimate the cost of their own strategy. In the beginning, she feels powerful. She's excited by the secrecy, by the feeling of being desired by someone new while still having the safety net of you. It feeds her ego. It convinces her that she's in control of both worlds, one foot in stability, the other in excitement. But what she doesn't realize is that control built on deceit is temporary. Because when she finally leaves, when she burns that bridge she's been weakening for months, she doesn't step into freedom. She steps into emptiness. That new man, the one she thought would feel like escape, suddenly feels like exposure. He doesn't know her the way you did. He doesn't tolerate her moods the way you did. He's not invested in fixing her the way you were. And for the first time in a long time, she has to face herself without the safety of your love cushioning her flaws. You see, when a woman emotionally detaches from you and moves on to her backup, she's chasing a feeling, not a future. That new man represents validation, adventure, and ego repair. But the novelty fades fast, because what she doesn't understand is that emotional safety can't be replaced with excitement. The thrill of the new man will wear off, and when it does, the silence of your absence will hit her like a slow, creeping fog. She'll start comparing, not consciously at first, but through small, subtle moments. The way he doesn't listen like you did, the way he's not patient when she overreacts, the way his words lack depth, his affection feels shallow, and soon, that emotional upgrade she thought she made begins to feel like a downgrade. But by then, you'll already be gone, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally. That's what destroys her the most. Here's what most men never realize until they live through it. When she planned her exit, she wasn't trying to find someone better than you. She was trying to find someone who would make her forget how much she took you for granted. But no one can replace a man who gave her patience, time, effort, and unconditional presence. You see, a man who truly loved her left an emotional fingerprint she'll never erase. Even if she tries to bury it under flings, distractions, or temporary attention, it always resurfaces, especially when she's alone. because what she loses when she loses you isn't just love, it's the emotional security she'll never get again. You didn't just fill space, you gave meaning. You weren't her placeholder, you were her peace. And when women lose peace for passion, they always pay the price. As months pass, she'll begin to romanticize you, not because she suddenly matured, but because reality humbled her. The new man starts showing his flaws. The excitement becomes routine, the emotional high fades, and what's left is a cold truth she can't admit even to herself. She was the problem all along, but instead of facing it, she'll run back to the only version of herself that felt safe, the version that was loved by you. That's when she'll start reappearing. She'll test the waters with subtle attempts, liking an old post, replying to a story, sending a hope you're doing well, text that means nothing, and everything at the same time. What she's really doing is checking your temperature. She wants to see if the man she betrayed is still emotionally available, because if you are, she knows she can feed off that again. But if you aren't, that's when the regret truly consumes her. And here's where you must hold your line, because the man she remembers no longer exists. You've evolved beyond her comprehension. You've learned that love without loyalty is just emotional slavery, and that forgiveness without accountability is just self-destruction. So when she returns, don't get angry, get silent. Don't argue, don't explain, don't prove how much you've grown. Just let her feel it. The coldness of your indifference will echo louder than any insult ever could, because women can handle anger, they can feed off that. But they can't handle irrelevance. They can't stand knowing that the same man who once chased their validation now treats them like a stranger. That's what breaks them. Your detachment becomes their mirror, forcing them to see the truth they've been running from, that their manipulation didn't make them powerful, it made them forgettable. You'll notice something fascinating around this point. Her backup man begins to crumble under the same expectations she once put on you. She starts demanding emotional consistency, attention, reassurance, but he doesn't have the patience for it. He's not emotionally invested the way you were. To him, she's just another woman, another story, another thrill, so he starts pulling away. The same way she once withdrew from you, he now withdraws from her. Karma doesn't announce itself, it just flips the dynamic quietly, and soon, she's right back where she started. Only this time, she has no safety net. She thought she upgraded, but in reality, she downgraded from being loved deeply to being used temporarily. And the irony is, it's her own emotional impulsiveness that wrote that ending. While all of this unfolds, you'll feel a strange calmness, because by the time she tries to circle back, you're no longer bitter, you're aware. You see the pattern for what it is, an endless cycle of seeking external validation to avoid internal emptiness. You'll understand that no amount of love, loyalty, or effort could have fixed someone who was addicted to the thrill of being wanted more than the peace of being loved. That realization is where true masculine maturity begins. You stop blaming yourself, you stop romanticizing what was, and you start respecting your peace like it's your currency, because it is. You finally understand that some losses aren't rejections, they're redirections. She didn't ruin you, she revealed you. She didn't destroy your faith in love, she purified it. As her world slowly collapses, yours starts expanding. You'll find new purpose, new focus, new depth. You'll start noticing how much emotional energy you used to spend managing chaos, and how peaceful life feels without it. You'll sleep better, you'll think clearer. You'll attract people who value your presence instead of exploiting it. That's the power of awareness. It shifts your energy from chasing to choosing. You're no longer impressed by surface-level charm. You seek emotional depth, authenticity. You've learned that the true measure of attraction isn't how fast your heart beats, but how still your mind feels around someone. That's masculine wisdom, born from feminine betrayal. And that's what makes her regret eternal. Because you were never meant to be replaced, you were meant to be remembered. She'll move on physically, but emotionally, she'll always return to the memory of you. Every relationship after you will be a distorted attempt to recreate the feeling she destroyed, but no one else will give her your energy, your presence, your discipline, your calmness. They'll give her attention, but not understanding, desire, but not devotion, and that's the worst kind of punishment, the kind where she gets everything she thought she wanted and still feels empty. Because once a woman experiences genuine masculine energy and loses it, no other man ever truly satisfies her again. So when you think about her now, don't feel bitterness, feel gratitude. She taught you what not to tolerate, what peace actually feels like, and what self-respect truly means. She exposed the difference between love and attachment, between care and control. You'll look back one day and realize her betrayal wasn't your downfall, it was your initiation. The day she left was the day you met the strongest version of yourself. And that's the paradox of masculine growth. Sometimes losing her is what saves you. Because while she was busy securing her next branch, you were learning how to build your own tree. And now you no longer need a woman to feel whole. You've become the man every woman wants, but the man no manipulative woman can ever keep. Time has a way of revealing what emotion tries to hide. Weeks go by, then months, and the new relationship she jumped into starts showing its cracks. The attention that once thrilled her begins to fade, replaced by irritation and emptiness. The backup man she clung to doesn't look at her the same way you did. He doesn't ask about her dreams, doesn't care about her moods, doesn't challenge her when she's wrong. He's present, but not invested. And that's when she realizes what she really lost wasn't just you, it was the emotional depth that came with your love. You made her feel seen, known, understood. You were her mirror, reflecting back the parts of her she couldn't face alone. The new man doesn't do that. He only reflects her surface, her body, her appearance, her momentary charm. And when the shallow reflection fades, she's left staring into a void she created herself. That's when the memories start haunting her. Not the good times, but the moments she took for granted. The way you used to look at her when she talked about her fears. The way you'd protect her without her asking. The calm energy that once annoyed her now feels like the stability she craves. She starts to miss what she destroyed, but pride keeps her from admitting it. Her days become heavy with contradiction. On the outside, she plays strong, posting photos, smiling in public, pretending her life has never been better. But when the lights go out and the room falls quiet, her mind replays your absence like a song she can't stop humming. Every silence feels like a reminder of your composure. Every night out feels hollow compared to the peace she once mocked. She tells her friends she's over you, but her actions betray her words. She keeps checking your social media, wondering who you're becoming. Every time she sees a hint of your growth, something inside her twists. Because you were supposed to fall apart without her. You were supposed to break, crawl back, beg for another chance. But instead, you're becoming everything she secretly hoped you'd never be: fulfilled, peaceful, unbothered. Your silence, once seen as weakness, now radiates strength. That's the cruel irony of emotional detachment. It doesn't just free you, it exposes her. Because now she's trapped in the very illusion she tried to use against you. When a woman loses control over your emotions, she also loses her sense of significance. That's what drives her mad in silence. She'll try to recreate your energy in other men, but it never fits. Every man she meets reminds her of what you gave effortlessly. You didn't need validation, you had direction. You didn't chase her attention. You commanded her respect. You didn't beg for love. You embodied it through discipline and composure. That kind of energy doesn't come from manipulation. It comes from self-awareness. And now that you've tapped into that, she'll start realizing just how rare that is. She'll try to convince herself you were cold, distant, detached. But deep down, she knows the truth. You weren't cold, you were grounded. You weren't detached, you were discerning. You weren't emotionless, you just refused to let your emotions control you. And now, every man she meets who operates from chaos only reinforces that realization. Her regret becomes her teacher, but it's a lesson she learns too late. Meanwhile, you'll begin to understand something profound about women and loss. They don't feel it at the beginning, because at the beginning, they're too busy escaping it. But once the excitement fades and the distractions die, the loss hits them all at once. It's not gradual, it's explosive. The delayed reaction of regret is what keeps her awake at night. She'll start remembering your presence, your tone, your patience. She'll crave your emotional stability like oxygen, because what she's realizing now is that her backup plan was never a man, it was avoidance. Avoidance of her guilt, avoidance of her mistakes, avoidance of herself. The new man can't fix that. He can only provide temporary relief until she's forced to face the truth. She left something real for something entertaining, and entertainment never sustains the soul, so she becomes restless. She scrolls through old photos, she rereads messages she once ignored. She even contemplates reaching out, but she hesitates because she knows deep down that the version of you she once manipulated no longer exists. That hesitation becomes her torment. Every time she thinks of reaching out, she feels that sting of shame because she knows she doesn't deserve a response. She knows she traded gold for glitter. You see, women rarely regret losing a man they didn't love, but they always regret losing a man who loved them, right? The longer she stays silent, the heavier her regret becomes. It turns into anxiety, restlessness, emotional guilt. She'll find herself wondering what you're doing, who you're with, whether you ever think about her. But here's the beautiful part. You won't. Not because you're heartless, but because you've evolved beyond needing closure. You've learned that real strength isn't about reacting, it's about rising. You've found peace in the very silence that used to torture you, and that's what drives her insane. Knowing that the same man who once cared so deeply now walks through life untouched by her existence. Because for her, closure never comes from moving on. It comes from realizing she no longer has control. She might try to come back at some point, but not because she loves you, because she misses the version of herself that existed when she was loved by you. You represented safety, consistency, and emotional validation. You made her feel valuable, desired, understood. But what she doesn't understand is that she doesn't miss you. She misses how you made her feel. That's why her return isn't about love, it's about withdrawal. You were her emotional supply, and now that you've cut her off, she's starving. So she'll test you, send a casual message, drop a subtle hint, try to gauge if she still has influence over you. But you, grounded in your awareness, won't give her the satisfaction. You'll stay composed, unreactive, unmoved. And that's when she'll finally understand the cost of losing you wasn't losing a man, it was losing her emotional anchor, because she's now adrift, floating between regret and denial. While you've built an island of peace she can no longer reach. The feminine psyche thrives on emotional control, and when you remove that power, she unravels quietly. Her ego begins to crumble under the weight of reality. She starts realizing that every better man she thought existed is nothing more than a recycled version of disappointment. And you've outgrown the need to even compare. That's when the tables completely turn. She once studied your behavior to manipulate it. Now she studies it to understand it. She wants to know how you became so composed, so indifferent, so untouchable. But what she doesn't realize is that your strength didn't come from revenge, it came from release. You let go of everything that drained you, including her. You stopped trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You stopped proving your worth to those blind to it. And that's what truly separates you from the rest. You learn to love without attachment and detach without hate. And as she continues to watch you, even from afar, her regret begins to evolve into admiration. Not because she wants you back, but because she finally sees the man she was too blind to appreciate. The same composure she once mocked now fascinates her. The discipline she once called boring now feels magnetic. The silence she once took as cold now feels mysterious. In her mind, you've become everything she once wanted, but couldn't handle. And that's the painful irony. She had you before you became this version of yourself. And now that she sees it, she realizes she was never meant to keep it. Because the kind of man who learns peace from pain is the kind of man no one forgets. You didn't just move on, you transcended. And in doing so, you became the living reminder of what she lost. The kind of love that wasn't dramatic but divine. Eventually, her regret hardens into silence. She won't reach out anymore, not because she's over it, but because she knows it's over. Deep down, she knows there's nothing left to say, and that's when the full weight of her choices sinks in. She'll start to realize that she never truly replaced you, she just recycled distractions. Every time she looks at her new partner, a small part of her wonders what life would have been like if she had just stayed, communicated, and grown with you. That thought lingers, quietly tormenting her for years. It's not obsession, it's realization. Realization that the man she thought she could always return to no longer exists. She destroyed her safe place for a temporary thrill, and now, no matter where she goes, she carries that emptiness with her. Because the truth is, No woman truly moves on from a man who gave her genuine love without needing her to earn it. And you, on the other hand, no longer carry pain, you carry perspective. You've turned heartbreak into self-awareness, loss into leverage, pain into purpose. You no longer see her as the villain, you see her as the lesson. You understand that people who betray peace were never built to stay in it, so you let her go, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Gratitude that she showed you how valuable your calm is. Gratitude that her betrayal became your awakening. And as life moves forward, you'll realize something profound. The reason you survived her wasn't because you were stronger, it's because you were purer. You loved without condition, gave without calculation, trusted without fear. And though she mistook that for weakness, it was the very strength she'll never find again. That's why, even years from now, when her life looks stable and her smile seems real, she'll still think of you in quiet moments, because no matter how far she runs, she'll never escape the truth that you were the man she was supposed to respect, but tried to replace. Eventually, her regret becomes a kind of ghost that follows her into every relationship, every quiet night, every mirror she looks into. It's not loud anymore. It's subtle, like a whisper she can't silence. When she's with her new man and he raises his voice over something small, she feels that pang of comparison, remembering how you never reacted like that, how your calmness used to disarm her, even when she tried to provoke you. When she catches herself laughing at another man's jokes, she realizes the laughter feels forced. It lacks the natural ease she once had with you. She'll tell herself she's fine, that she's moved on, that this is what she wanted. But every moment of forced happiness reveals how much of it is performance. What she's actually doing is hiding from her conscience, running from the recognition that she betrayed someone who didn't deserve it. She thought leaving you would give her freedom, but freedom without peace is just chaos, disguised as independence. And deep down, she knows it. The further she runs from you, the closer she gets to the truth that she destroyed something irreplaceable, and she'll never forgive herself for it. When she sees you again, even from a distance, something inside her shifts. It might be months later, or even years, but that one glimpse of you walking taller, dressed better, your eyes calm, your demeanor unbothered, will hit her like a storm. Because in her mind, she expected you to be broken. She thought you'd still be searching for her shadow in every corner of your life. But instead, you've become a man at peace, a man who doesn't chase, doesn't seek validation, doesn't need her to feel whole. And that realization pierces her ego like a blade, because she realizes something she was never prepared to face. She wasn't your world, she was a temporary chapter in your evolution. And while she was busy seeking attention from others, you were building a life that doesn't even remember her name. That's when the regret turns physical, a sick, heavy feeling in the stomach. Because for the first time, she understands that you didn't just move on, you transcended the version of yourself that even she once underestimated. You see, most women are addicted to emotional power, the ability to affect a man, to control his state of mind through affection or withdrawal. It gives them a sense of importance. When you detach, you take that away, and without that, they start to crumble. It's not love they crave, it's influence. And when she no longer has influence over you, she feels irrelevant. That's why she'll try to re-enter your life under the guise of friendship, nostalgia, or closure. But what she's really doing is testing the waters, trying to see if her words still carry weight in your world. That's why your silence is so deadly. It doesn't just reject her, it reflects her irrelevance back at her. You've become the mirror she can't stand to look into, because it forces her to confront her own emptiness. She realizes that all the validation she chased from other men was temporary, and all the attention she traded your love for was hollow. And once a woman tastes hollowness after real love, it never leaves her tongue. There's a cruel beauty in how life humbles those who take genuine love for granted. As she ages, she'll start to feel it more. The world that once celebrated her beauty, her charm, her allure, begins to move on without her. The men who once chased her don't look at her the same way. The attention that once validated her becomes fleeting, and that's when the emotional debt of her decisions comes due. Because while she was focused on finding something better, she never realized that better isn't about looks, money, or excitement, it's about emotional peace. You gave her that peace, but she mistook it for boredom. She mistook your calm for weakness, your loyalty for predictability, your consistency for complacency. But now, when she's surrounded by chaos disguised as passion, she finally understands what she lost. It's not the man, it's the feeling of being safe, loved, and seen. And by the time that realization hits, you've already built a life that doesn't need to make room for her anymore. There will come a moment, maybe late at night, maybe on her birthday, maybe after a fight with the man she chose, where she'll scroll through her phone, tempted to message you. She'll type out the words, maybe something simple like, "Hey, how have you been?" But then she'll stop, because she knows she can't come back the same way she left. She knows the version of you who once waited for her reply no longer exists. The man who used to stay up waiting for closure has now closed his own doors. She'll delete the message, lock her phone, and cry in silence, not for you, but for herself. Because what she's mourning isn't the end of a relationship, it's the death of her power over you. And that realization hits harder than heartbreak, because once a woman loses emotional power over a man who once adored her, she loses a piece of her identity. You were her mirror, her emotional anchor, and when you stopped reflecting her back, she had to face herself, and she didn't like what she saw. By this point, you've evolved into a different kind of man, one who doesn't need revenge, validation, or recognition. You don't need her to regret. Her regret is inevitable. You don't need her to apologize. Her silence says enough. You've learned the art of letting go, not out of spite, but out of sovereignty. You now understand that love isn't about holding on tightly, it's about knowing when to release. And that's the kind of energy women can't replace. You've become unshakable, mysterious, grounded. You carry yourself with a quiet confidence that says, "I've seen the storm, and I didn't drown." That's what draws people toward you now. Not because you're trying to impress, but because peace has become your presence. And while she's still addicted to emotional highs and lows, you've built a life where stillness is strength. You're no longer in competition with her chaos. You've outgrown the game entirely. Meanwhile, her life continues on the surface. New relationships, new faces, new distractions, but none of them reach the same emotional depth. Every man she meets reminds her of what you were, but none of them are you. They might match your confidence, but not your composure. They might have your ambition, but not your emotional intelligence. They might be louder, richer, more assertive, but none of that replaces your calm dominance, the energy of a man who didn't need to prove anything to feel powerful. And the irony is, she'll keep chasing that version of you in everyone else. The stability, the safety, the quiet strength. But she'll never find it again. Because the man who becomes peaceful after pain is a different breed entirely. You can't recreate him. You can only lose him. And she did. What she doesn't realize is that your detachment didn't come from ego. It came from exhaustion. You got tired of explaining, tired of forgiving, tired of pouring yourself into someone who mistook your love for control. You reached a point where silence became more healing than conversation. And that's when everything changed. Because the moment a man stops needing to be understood, he becomes untouchable. That's the energy she feels now. The mystery, the distance, the peace that radiates from someone who's no longer reactive. You've entered a stage of life she can't access, the stage where peace feels better than passion. You've learned that the greatest revenge isn't making her miss you, it's making her realize she never deserved to know you in the first place. And that's not cruelty, that's evolution. As time moves on, she'll tell herself she's healed. She'll pretend you were just a phase, a lesson, a memory. But every so often, when life quiets down and she's alone with her thoughts, something will trigger her, a song, a scent, a place, and she'll feel that ache again. Not the ache of loss, but the ache of realization. The realization that she didn't just lose a man, she lost the only man who would have loved her beyond her flaws. She'll think of the times you defended her when no one else did, the times you stayed when others would have walked away, the times you loved her even when she was unlovable. That's the kind of love she'll never find again, and she knows it. Because the truth is, you can replace a man's body, his company, his presence, but you can't replace his energy, especially when that energy came from a place of genuine strength. And one day, when she finally faces herself, stripped of illusions, pride, and pretense, she'll realize that losing you wasn't an accident, it was her awakening. You were the test life gave her, and she failed it. Because real love doesn't demand perfection, it demands presence. And she was never present with you. She was always chasing the next feeling, the next validation, the next fantasy. But by doing that, she missed the truth, staring her in the face, that the peace she spent her whole life searching for was in the man she couldn't appreciate. And now, as she watches you from a distance, successful, grounded, fulfilled, she'll finally understand what she threw away, but it'll be too late, because you've already moved beyond needing her to see your worth. You've become something greater, a man who no longer seeks love to feel powerful, but whose power makes love seek him. Eventually, her life becomes a long echo of the man she lost. She won't say your name anymore. She won't dare to bring you up in conversations, but you'll linger in every choice she makes. Every time she dates a new man, she'll subconsciously look for your mannerisms, your calm presence, your way of listening without judgment. But every attempt will end the same way: disappointment. Because she'll start realizing that most men either want control or validation, but few offer peace. And that's what she misses most. Not the romance, not the gifts, not the words, but the peace. You had a stillness that didn't beg for attention, yet commanded respect. You never tried to prove your worth, you simply embodied it. And now that kind of man feels extinct in her world. The longer she searches, the deeper the void becomes. Because once a woman has experienced a man who loves without chaos, she can never unlearn the feeling of stability. Every new connection will crumble beneath the weight of that comparison, and she'll know it's her own impatience, her own disloyalty, that built this prison of longing. It's ironic. She used to accuse you of being too calm, of not reacting enough, of not being emotional enough. But now, that very calmness has become the standard she measures all men against. Back then, she mistook your silence for indifference, your peace for boredom. She couldn't comprehend that a man doesn't have to shout to be strong. But now, surrounded by men who scream to feel powerful, she finally understands what quiet strength looks like. It's not the absence of emotion, it's mastery of it, and that's what haunts her most. Because while you were mastering yourself, she was losing herself to the illusion of excitement. She traded security for stimulation, and now her life feels like a series of meaningless highs, followed by deeper crashes. Every attempt to recreate the thrill of her choices only reminds her that the peace she once had with you wasn't dullness. It was love in its purest form. There comes a point when regret doesn't sound like sadness, it sounds like silence. You'll notice it in her eyes. If you ever cross paths again, she won't say much. She won't bring up the past, but her gaze will say it all. That heavy, wordless look that says, "I thought I'd always have time to come back." But time doesn't wait for realization. You'll stand there, composed and polite, and she'll feel the sting of seeing that your peace no longer includes her. That's when reality will hit her harder than any breakup ever could, because now she's facing a man who once loved her deeply, but no longer needs her at all. And nothing breaks a woman's ego more than knowing she became invisible to the man who once made her feel like the only one. You won't need to say a word. Your calm will say it for you. I moved on, and I don't owe you the version of me you once abused. That's the cruel truth of feminine regret. It always comes too late. While men tend to process pain early, women tend to process it only after they've lost what was real. She'll replay your moments in her mind, not because she misses your presence, but because she can't escape her conscience. You were the test of her emotional maturity, and she failed it. She thought love was a feeling, you taught her it was a responsibility. She thought affection meant possession, you taught her it meant peace. But she wasn't ready to learn, and life doesn't repeat lessons for those who don't listen. Now she's surrounded by men who reflect her chaos instead of grounding it, and that's her punishment. The love she thought she could replace now lives as a ghost in her mind, one she'll never exercise, because true love, once broken, doesn't vanish. It transforms into lifelong awareness, and while she's trapped in that awareness, you're evolving into something greater than even she remembers. The heartbreak that once felt like destruction has turned you into a man of discipline, direction, and depth. You've learned that love doesn't mean tolerating disrespect, and that forgiveness doesn't mean re-entry. You've rebuilt your life from the ashes of illusion, and now your focus is unshakable. You no longer chase pleasure, you pursue purpose. You've learned to invest your time where it multiplies peace, not chaos, and that's why her memory no longer hurts, it motivates. Every time you think of what she did, you remember what you built because of it. Your peace is now your proof. You don't need closure because your evolution is the closure. You've become the kind of man who no longer wonders why she left. You simply understand that she had to. Because some people's purpose in your story is not to stay, but to awaken you. You'll notice that as your life grows, as your career flourishes, your mind sharpens, your presence deepens, she'll start orbiting quietly. Maybe she'll pop up again, liking an old post, sending a nostalgic message, pretending it's harmless. But you'll see through it. You'll know it's not about curiosity, it's about control. She wants to confirm that she still lingers somewhere in your thoughts, but she doesn't. Because the truth is, her chapter ended the moment you stopped chasing and started leading. You're no longer playing the emotional game she used to win by default. Your silence is no longer reactive, it's intentional. It's the peace of a man who doesn't seek validation, who doesn't need to prove that he's moved on, because he already has. You no longer react to her tests, her messages, her energy. You've transcended her cycle, and nothing terrifies a manipulative woman more than a man she can no longer manipulate. There will come a time when she'll finally understand the cost of what she lost, not in youth, not in beauty, but in peace. Because no matter how many men she dates, none of them will ever give her the safety she felt when she was with you. She'll realize that her entire idea of love was built on drama, not devotion. And as she ages, her definition of love will change. She'll crave peace, protection, but by then, you'll already be living that life with someone who earned it. And that's when her regret will stop being emotional and become existential. She'll realize she wasn't just replaced, she was outgrown. The same man she once saw as too nice or too calm is now the standard she uses to measure everyone else. And she'll have to live knowing that she taught you how to never love a woman like her again. That's her legacy, a lesson, not a memory. For you, this realization marks a shift from reacting to reflecting. You stop seeing women through the lens of desire and start seeing them through the lens of discernment. You no longer confuse affection with alignment or attraction with intention. You begin to value peace over pleasure, solitude over chaos. You finally understand that your energy is sacred and that not everyone deserves access to it. You've learned that love is not about proving your worth to someone blind to it. It's about protecting it from those who drain it. And that's what makes you unstoppable. You've reclaimed your masculine frame, not through dominance, but through discipline. You no longer chase love, you attract it through alignment. You no longer beg for loyalty, you inspire it through presence. That's why your life feels lighter now, because you're no longer carrying the weight of convincing someone to see your value. And she'll feel that from miles away. Even if she never says it, even if she never reaches out, she'll feel the energy shift, because energy doesn't lie. The man who once waited for her reply is now too busy building his empire. The man who once sought her validation now validates himself through growth. The man who once gave her unconditional love now gives it to his purpose. That's the true glow up, not revenge, not replacing her, but reclaiming yourself. And the more you ascend, the more invisible you become to those who once took you for granted. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. You're no longer in the same frequency as her chaos. You've risen above it, and that's what drives her insane. Because she can't reach you anymore. Not through guilt, not through charm, not through manipulation. You've become untouchable. In the end, her story with you becomes a quiet warning, a lesson about the cost of taking love for granted. She'll never admit it, but deep down, she knows she lost the kind of man she'll never meet again. You, on the other hand, will walk through life lighter, wiser, calmer. Not because you stopped loving, but because you learned what love truly means. It's not about losing yourself in someone else. It's about finding yourself through what you survived. That's why peace looks so good on you. Now, it's not the absence of pain, it's the presence of wisdom. You're no longer bitter, you're better. You no longer seek closure. You are the closure. And while she spends the rest of her life pretending she's fine, you'll live every day knowing that the best revenge was never to make her regret. It was to make her irrelevant.